everybody, and big welcome to cEDH TV with a card review for Magar of the Magic Strings. Now there might be some confusion in the ranks as this is printed in an unset, and normally uncard silver border cards aren't legal. However, they've tweaked the rules on those kind of things, and as long as it has the normal magic icon, that one right there, it will be a legal card even though it's printed in an unset. Because even though it has really strange text on it, it's still executable. Note the name of target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard and put it into the battlefield face down. So you're removing a card from your graveyard into play face down, like Morph, but in this case it's a free. Honestly, it probably should be a 2/2, but regardless, it's a free with whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may create a copy of that card with a noted name. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost, and if this creature will leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. So if you return that instant back to your hand, if it dies, it goes to exile. However, if the creature or the instant or sorcerer that is a creature attacks and connects and you cast it cost itself, you don't lose that instant or sorcery as the creature form. As it's worded right here, you are creating a copy of that card with a noted name. So you keep the creature as the instant sorcery and you can use it over and over. This naturally means we have a one card combo. If you're able to make this extra combat step sorcery spell into a creature and it attacks and connects, you have infinite combat steps. So on paper this looks amazing. We have a rakdos, 2-color, black and red, that's great colors, and we have a bunch of one card combos as we have multiple variations of this spell. But in practice, this is actually really tricky to get to. So there's a lot of hoops you need to go through in order to get there. Now, getting Relentless Assault or any of the versions of extra combat steps into your graveyard, that isn't tricky. We have things like an Tomb that can put whatever card into your deck into your graveyard, and there's a lot of draw and discard cards we could also play to just get those cards we need into the graveyard. Now the tricky part is getting the commander into play. We can efficiently do that if we mulligan aggressively. Let's say getting this into play turn 2, that should be quite possible. Then we need to pass turn and survive that turn cycle, that should be possible. Then we need to activate this and target the spell we need to target. And first we need to get that card into the graveyard, of course. And then we get our creature that can attack and win the game, but we have to pass turn first here. And the moment you pass the turn with your win con in play, that's just asking for it. I would compare this to something like Hermit Druid. We have a lot of experience about Hermit Druid's performance that is like, yeah, it works, but it's never really getting there because it's always interacted with. And there's so many different things that could go wrong when you're trying to get there here. They can have something like a Draenei Magistrate in play. That's a very common card you usually see in cEDH pods. Cursed Totem, that is kinda common now and then, here and there. Daffy Voidwalker, or well, any other form of anti-graveyard. Daffy Voidwalker is very common in the cEDH metagame currently. I guess we should also mention Deathrite Shaman. That is something a lot of decks are playing when they can. Deathrite Shaman is great versus its commander. And then we also have a creature spot removals like Swords to Plowshare, etc. either for your commander or the extra combat step creature you create. And last but not least, definitely not least, you have blockers. Creatures have become a little bit popular in the cEDH metagame. You're telegraphed, you're playing into a lot of various stacks effects. A lot of them are very common and they all affect you pretty much. But the actual outcome that I think this is going to create is a very political, interesting outcome that is very bad for this commander. People are gonna be sitting there with some of their blockers or some of their spot removals and let everything just happen. They're gonna let you put that creature into play, then they're gonna let you pass turn. They're not gonna remove the creature, they're gonna let that creature attack and kill someone that doesn't have blockers. And then they're gonna let that person die, and then they're gonna interact with you afterwards. They are literally making you kill one of the other opponents for them. Even sitting there with an empty board state, no creatures whatsoever, just having that Sword to Plowshare in your hand, if you randomly attack anyone else beside that player with that hidden Sword to Plowshare, they will just let you kill those players for them. And once that player is gone, then they will use the Sword to Plowshares to prevent themselves from dying and basically interacting and stopping you. And now when that opponent is gone, that person's interaction is also gone, that person could have had counter spells, you're rakdos. You don't really have much interaction at all, so you aren't really a threat in preventing someone from winning with whatever combo they could go for. This means that this commander could accidentally kingmake people. Suddenly, this guy doesn't look that hot anymore. You need to know about your weakness before you progress, and you need to build and play around your weakness. But don't forget to build around your strength. Let's look at the positive things about this guy. You see, this deck's rebuild capabilities is actually pretty good. There are a lot of variations of extra combat steps, so if they Sword to Plowshare one of them, you have more. Like what I said in the beginning of the video was, getting these cards into the graveyard, that isn't hard. There's a lot of draw and discard effects we can play, just get those cards down there. So going for it again and again and again, that shouldn't really be a big problem. Second, we can play a really kinda cool value game with this commander. First up, Anger, absolutely auto-included in this deck. Wow, that's gonna be great. Just discard that thing into the graveyard and you have mass haste. I also think that Lightning Greaves will help out a lot here, protecting your commander, but then giving your creatures from your graveyard haste. There's also a lot of really cool spells that you could just sit there and cast over and over for value. Jeska's Will, that's a great card to turn into a creature. A Braid, absolutely solid card, getting to cast that over and over is great. Red Elemental Blast, a cEDH staple in Counter Wars, but also whenever it attacks and connects, you can destroy whatever blue permanent you want to get rid of. I actually even think you should consider Duress here. We don't have blue counter spells, we don't have red or green stacks effects, we do have Daffy Voidwalker and Oppo Agent, that's great, but we're also winning kinda slow. We need to pass turn a bunch, we need to pay a lot of mana, and we're really telegraphed. We're gonna need some way of controlling our opponents, and hand attack, I think that's gonna be something you need here. This could be great in making sure you're able to win, but in that really long game with that free duress attacking, that's good. We also have Board Wipe Pyroclasm. All of our creatures are 3 in toughness, so we are actually gonna survive this. So we can literally board wipe 2 damage to all creatures like every turn. There's a really cool mono red combo I think we're probably gonna play inside this deck with Twin Flame, Dual Caster Mage and Heat Shimmer. Basically creating infinite 2/2s and winning the match. But making Twin Flame into a creature, that's very appealing. I mean, just imagine creature Twin Flame making every turn a token of Gilded Drake that also disappears. Your opponents don't get to keep that free flyer, but you're stealing a creature every single turn here. Now, of course, you need to have an opponent that has a Gilded Drake in play in order for this to work, but Gilded Drake is kinda common, so it's not impossible. But there are lots of different ETB creatures that your opponents could have, like Spellseeker is very common that we could really utilize. If we look at this creature's ability, 3 mana to create value. The thing is that you're creating a factory that is developing more value on itself. And whenever you're activating this ability to create that new creature, you're creating another new factory that is also creating value. So you're building like a huge industry that is just snowballing more or less. Like, I really think that this commander has the potential of creating an enormous army here. As a finalized review, I think this commander is gonna be really fun. Instants and sorceries are really strong inside cEDH, so that's a natural good thing for it. Like, I think it could be a deck that doesn't really need the commander. Now sure, the commander is gonna be very key for the combo to work, and very key for the value when you're starting to build more value over time. But you could build a deck that is very instant and sorcerer heavy, playing a lot of really good staples, rakdos black and red staples that a lot of decks are playing, except that you get to utilize them even more if you get your commander into play and you get to activate that commander. Now, I don't think that this commander is gonna be that great. Like, the problems I talked about in the beginning, that's a big problem. There's a lot of stacks effects that are just gonna demolish this commander completely, and they're very common too. But honestly, I think I'm gonna build this and play it just because of the sheer fun this could be. Like, I probably want this to be good, but I think I'm gonna have to say it's not super amazing. It's probably kind of decent though, but yeah, it has problems. You need to build around those problems for this to kind of work. That's what I think. What do you think? You think this is good? I would love to hear your opinions. In any case, take care guys. Hope you liked the video, you got inspired, and I'll see you next time. See ya!